Oh man, I don't even know where to start, man. I don't. I don't even know how to feel right now, man. Me personally, I'm a Clippers fan. Kawhi
Oh,
Leonard, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. What was that shit, man? I still cannot believe it. The last time I felt like this, I'll have to say rest in peace to Nip Hussle, man. I feel like the same way I felt when Nipsey died is the way I feel about the Clippers losing. Like it's just so unbelievable that I can't believe this shit really happened. Like too much ass cheeks, man. They gave up all booty cheeks. It's terrible. Let me bring in my guest, man. My boy Yajakettit.
oh, too much ass cheeks.
LA.
He said too much ass cheeks. We in here, baby. Don't y'all forget it. Greatest franchise because they got the greatest player of all time.
Alvin, I already know you a Laker fan, man. So I know you jumping for joy right now. LeBron didn't want no problems and want no smoke with Kawhi. And then Kawhi can't even handle his business. So you can't even call it a feud for LA after this one. You know what I'm saying? So what's your take on it? You muted. You on the mute, Alvin. You on mute.
You on mute. Because we don't need to hear from Lakers, baby. We don't need to hear from the Lakers.
We don't. LeBron, if he don't get this championship, man, then it's all bad for LeBron after this.
Baby. There you go.
Good.
There you go.
My 8-year-old had to save me. I was struggling. This is their laptop. All right, so look, to be honest with you, the only reason why I'm laughing about all of this is because of two main reasons. First main reason is that Kawhi Leonard and Paul George have never been top tier number one options and leaders of their team. When Paul George was with Indiana, he was a good player, but everybody forgot that he was playing Robin and learning directly under Danny Granger, who they eventually let go because they thought he was going to step up and be the franchise player, which he was, but he never led the team. George Hill was always the leader. Honestly, I forgot that whole roster because I didn't care. But then when you look at Kawhi, even though this last year when they won with Toronto, he might have been the best player, but who was really the leader of the team? Kyle Lowry. So I feel like the fact that we're forgetting that, like, social media, Charles Barkley, a lot of New Balance, Nike, they promoted too much stuff with the two of them being the saviors to this Clipper franchise. With no disrespect, Caleb, they ain't never won nothing. So you can't say this feeling is so similar to Nipsey dying because, niggas die every day, B. You know what I'm saying? And the Clippers lose.
You can't say that a two-time NBA Finals MVP has never won nothing.
Oh, now,
your assessment of Paul George.
Okay. I said the franchise. The Clippers ain't never won nothing. I can show you Lamar Odom jerseys when they had the nice cursive, which, if they were smart, they would have retroed those. And Clippers like yourself, you would have been happy because you could have got some image. You could have got some nostalgia to sit at home and lose because they ain't never won. They ain't never won nothing. I'm sorry.
Well, they signed Kawhi and Paul George to multi-year deals.
Oh, so, no. 2-year.
Yeah, multi.
Option. No. Yes. Because low-key, opt in. Opt out. They're going to opt out.
They're going to opt in.
No.
They didn't come to, I don't believe. Let me tell you my logic behind it. I don't believe that after the failure this catastrophic failure, I don't believe that they will run away like that after this. Even if they come back next year and they have success, then it would be stupid for them to leave. And if they come back and it's a failed experiment, then they owe it to themselves to try to give it one more year. So I don't see them opting out that last year. Either way, just because how bad this year was, I don't see them opting out.
Kawhi won 2 rings already. So for Kawhi, this was just going home to try to get a chip, be the only player to get 3 rings, 3 MVPs, whatever, right? He loses. Yeah. You watched the way he lost Game 7? That was that 1 euro he did into Jokic and then missed it and turned and looked at the refs. I said that wasn't a cyborg. That was a real man. And the real man's hurt on the inside. He didn't have the he didn't like, honestly, if you think about it, they really kind of snuck all the way through the playoffs because they didn't have no crazy first couple games in the bubble. Everybody was talking about pandemic P. You know what I'm saying? They were talking about Kawhi was still the best player in the world only because of what he did up until the bubble. They tried to flip that switch and they was gassed. They couldn't turn it back on.
So what's your take, Jaquette? How you feel about it, man? Yes, take that hat off, please. This guy.
First of all, I had to pay homage to the greatest basketball team ever, which is the Chicago Bulls. I just wanted to say that. But my brother gave me this hat a long time ago, and I never wore it before, so this is the first time me wearing it. My outlook on it is this. Kawhi Leonard. He's supposed to be, Alvin said it, the greatest up-and-coming basketball player of the world, the greatest guy, you know. Only reason why Kawhi won with Toronto last year, let's be clear, let's put it out there, he only won it because Klay Thompson got injured. Let's be clear. He only won it because Klay Thompson and Golden State Warriors were injured. Let's be clear about that. So let's go into this. Yo Clippers, bro. Yo Clippers don't got heart. That's all it is. Yo Clippers don't got no killer mentality. Because you can't tell me you have to do one more game. And in that one game, you had 3 times to do it. First game, you were up by 19 points. You were up by 19. You lost that. They came back. Okay, cool. We give it to you. You guys took your foot off the neck. Okay, cool. Next game, up by 16. Y'all lost that and gave them a game 7, and y'all thought y'all were gonna win. And then your boy Paul George, shout out to Paul George. I know you represent the AV a little bit, but your boy Paul George says, I like our odds. What you mean you like your odds? You guys are one of the favorites to win it. And then y'all lost. And y'all got blown out. Y'all didn't have no heart. Now, on the Clippers defense a little bit. Clippers, before the bubble even started, Clippers said, Lou Williams said, I don't even want to play this year. Clippers had a lot of players saying, I don't want to play this year. But they ended up playing. And then they saying, y'all and the Lakers said, we don't want to play. The Clippers came back out and said, we don't want to play this year. So I give it to the Clippers didn't have that killer mentality because they didn't want to play. They didn't want to play in the bubble anyway. Why is the bubble going on right now? Because of LeBron James. He got his jersey on, baby. LeBron James.
So me personally, I have to tell Doc Rivers to hold this, man. After this is, I feel like Doc Rivers needs to be fired. And
No.
After, let me finish my statement. After the team, this is the second time that he's done this with the organization.
Third time
in his career. Second time. Now, when he had the Lob City team, when Chris Paul came over, and they had the best roster in the NBA, like they did this year. And what was that? 4 or 5 years ago? So within an 8-year span, you've had 2 rosters that were the best in the league, and you can't get out the conference finals. Doc Rivers needs to go.
Can I have
just based off of that performance?
But look,
what is it? 7, 8 years?
He's been
haven't made past the conference finals.
Look,
with 2 of the best rosters.
He's been in.
I can't give you no excuses.
Look, he's been there with him for 7 years, right? He came in with that Boston championship mentality, that mindset. I'm gonna change them up. I'm gonna be defensive first, and then they got Blake, DeAndre, and Chris Paul, right? The thing I guess we keep forgetting is that the Clippers don't win, so you can't blame their loss on Doc. Since he's came in, this is the most relevant the Clippers have ever been. Because the joke about Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson, you had Elton Brand. You had Lamar Odom, you had Quentin Richardson, you had Darius Miles, you even had Andre Miller for a second back then. You even had Baron Davis during that run. They all like Clippers always end up getting good players. They never really
always got the first round pick.
No, for real. I used to love the whole Laker Clipper battle, right? And I've always loved the fact that the Clippers had the players that you wanted to watch. And Lakers had the players that fit the role to win championships. But when Lob City started the debacle off of that Donald Sterling, everybody flipping their jerseys inside out because his racist comments and whatnot, that changed everybody to say, okay, they're not just a fun team anymore. They need to be a winning franchise. And there's just so much added pressure on them to keep winning when you gotta get to the conference finals. And honestly, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard were not the same players in this bubble if they were at home in the Staples Center with 2 out of 3 games in Staples Center to win, to go to the next, to see the Lakers in the Western Conference. I put $100 right now they win. But it's because of them being inside that little gym. Go ahead, my bad.
Now let me say something. Go ahead. First of all, I'm gonna make this clear. I'm making this clear now because I know you're a Laker fan as well.
All day.
This bubble championship is not a real championship. That's first and foremost.
Shut up.
Okay. Second of all, this is it. I'm gonna make it easy for you, Caleb. This is why y'all lost. Why y'all lost.
Why?
Y'all lost because of Murray. And you guys know why y'all lost because of Murray.
Jokic, man, was looking like LeBron James.
I got you, bro. I got you. I'm going to make this easy for you. The reason why y'all lost because of Murray, it wasn't that he was draining shots on y'all. It wasn't because of the Joker throwing behind-the-back passes on y'all. Y'all lost because of one reason. Y'all lost.
Oh, my God. I knew you.
That man, he paid homage to one of the greatest point guards to ever play the game, which is Derrick Rose. These are the shoes, the retro D Roses that he was wearing when he was cooking y'all. He was cooking y'all in some retro D Roses. So he was tapping into his old school Derrick Rose. That's why he was cooking y'all. That's the only reason why you lost, baby. That's it. Just take it like that. And your Lakers, remember, the Clippers said they did not want to play this year because it was the bubble and everything that's going on with Black Lives and everything going on. Clippers said, we don't even want to play this year. Only reason why we playing this year is because of LeBron James, and he said he want to play. And he want to play because he knows he can win a bubble championship.
Let me bring up a question.
LeBron said, we're not going to play. LeBron stood up and said, me and the Lakers aren't going to play. And he walked. The Clippers followed because it was supposed to be them as the 2 most important teams making a stand together. But when it came down to going into the bubble, they both said they wanted to go. But you saw what happened before anybody made one comment about life in the bubble other than Stephen A. Smith. Paul George had that really bad game last series, and he said, I was in a really dark place. I was trying to find myself in the bubble. The situation is different for me. It's not what I'm accustomed to and whatnot. I get that. That's him tapping into mental health issues that a lot of people don't want to talk about. But to me, and this is me, I'm not talking about the fan in me. I'm talking about the person that loves basketball. You're not going to take that asterisk that's going to go next to my championship right here. Yes, You're not going to take it and make it something worse. It's going to be something that you got to look forward to. Like, there was kids who graduated high school. There was adults who graduated college. There was people who did things during this pandemic that we don't want to sit up here and take away from their moment because they didn't get to walk across the stage the same way. If the Lakers win and LeBron gets his third MVP and a third championship on a different team, now he's over here competing with players who are almost 10 years younger than him as still being the greatest player in the game. I don't like LeBron, but he can do this now.
He'll never be. First of all, he would never be the GOAT. He can keep his bubble championship because everybody knows next year he's going to be going against a full healthy Golden State Warriors.
Oh well.
Which you also has one of the top 3 picks. Then he got to go against the Brooklyn Nets.
Okay. But you know what?
He got to go get some real talent next year. He wanted to go, and you're trying to put it in there and say LeBron James, them in the Clippers both said no, they did not want to play. But then LeBron James changed his mind, and he was like, let's play.
No,
the Clippers never came back and said, let's play. Clippers were like, nah, we don't want to go. LeBron James said, let's go to the NBA win.
Caleb, tell him about
politics. Let me ask you a question. So since we brought up Brooklyn and the Steve Nash job, and they were talking about white privilege, okay, so why does D'Antoni lose his job in Houston?
He didn't lose. He didn't lose his job.
It was a mutual separation.
No, he said, I'm leaving, and they said, okay, we understand. They weren't going to sit here.
So I feel like Doc and the Clippers are at the same headway that D'Antoni and the Houston are. Why should Doc sit there? I would actually prefer that we replace Doc with D'Antoni because Doc's offensive. But listen to what my argument. Why? How do you allow your team to come out 3 flat games in a row out of halftime? As a coach, game seven.
He didn't even
come out when they come out flat. Game 7 out of the halftime after the last 2 games. You should have used every single timeout you had within that first 5 minutes of that second half to make sure that momentum didn't swing to Denver the way that it did. But no, you just let them go out there and play. They got their fucking souls taken. And then by the halfway through the second half, they looking up and they trying to call to the sidelines to come out the game. They tired.
Hey, Caleb, I got one for you, though. The same way y'all didn't want to include the fact that, LeBron said, yeah, we'll play because of the NBA owners and everybody saying they were going to do more due diligence about helping out in different communities or whatever to help social injustice, right?
Yeah.
What about the fact, because, we play 2K, how it was a funny little funny glitch they wanted to add, how they already had said the Clippers were favored to win the championship, but they didn't make it. That's what's in 2K right now, and the season's still going. Okay? This is something that you would laugh about and say, hey, that sounds like the NBA is rigged. Now, if you and I know, if all 3 of us know how passionate Doc Rivers is about basketball, not just is it ironic that he didn't call those timeouts to make sure the momentum didn't swing, look at the emotion on everybody on the bench. Everybody seemed a little content with the loss. Nobody was frustrated. Nobody was cursing. Like when you watch Russell Westbrook lose against the Lakers, he was going off on one of the fans and the game was already out of reach. But his heart and his passion was so real and so off the top that he still is just, I can't believe we're fucking losing. But with them, Kawhi and Paul George still dapped up after it was over like as if they was cool with the L. I feel like everybody went into this series saying, you know what? Win or lose, we just run it back again next year anyway. Because this whole bubble shit fucked us up, and we still got a good squad. And then if they make trades, because they can't get anything in the draft, they gave up their whole future. Focus on the future. They gave up their whole future on Paul George, and now if they don't do nothing with them, you have to trade him or trade Kawhi just to get some more talent to fit pieces.
You know what?
Why? Don't pull out the damn D Roses right now.
This is why, baby. This is why.
Okay.
Because the NBA, like how you said, people think the NBA is rigged, but the NBA is ran by Mr. LBJ. LBJ says, let's play basketball again. Guess what they're gonna do? Let's play basketball again. And ironically, why would you let why would you let the Clippers, if we're going off of your theory, Clippers like, man, okay, cool. We just want to next year. They're like, hey, Clippers, y'all can't beat the Lakers. Y'all can't. This year, the Lakers have to win. Why? Because rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. If the Lakers don't win, like no other team is like, man, why you think LeBron James wanted to run it back? For real, though.
No, but look,
he wanted to run it back. He wanted to run it back because he knew he had no competition.
I agree with you because after Kobe died, he said, "This is for Kobe," and the rest of the season has been for Kobe since that moment. So I agree with that assessment. Yeah. This season for the Lakers
Kobe being one of the greatest players in the world, and how tragic his death is. You don't think the NBA is kind of sort of going to let it lean a little bit more towards the Lakers so the Lakers can win? No. Okay.
This is the thing.
You're not going to give the Lakers a little more calls than they give everybody else?
Hey, before you respond to that, Jacetta, you remember Tom Donahue, the referee that got caught cheating and rigging the games? That he shed a light on the NBA that they didn't want to be shed, man. So when you say that, it does bring back that Tom Donahue. He was just on some other podcast talking about his how he knew what games to bet on and stuff. So there is some facts.
Denver going to beat the Lakers? Denver ain't going to beat the Lakers. The Heat ain't going to beat the Lakers. Boston ain't going to make it out because the Heat are going to beat them. But they ain't going to happen because LeBron James needs to win this championship. But guess what? This championship has an asterisk by it. It is only for Kobe, but next year we're going to see what the Lakers are really made.
No, listen. You're not looking at it in the whole circle. You're looking at you're forgetting this part. Huh? What? You know what I mean? You're forgetting. LeBron doesn't run the NBA. The NBA knows LeBron is the only one that can get them everything they need because there's so many next generational superstars that they have to pick and choose who they're going to be able to put all their weight in, all their money in. Because
Giannis.
You know what I'm saying? Like you talk about Kobe.
Giannis.
Yeah, well, no. Giannis can't do it either. Giannis can't do it now neither for this reason alone. When you talk about Kobe, and not now, and as far as the retirement part, but when Kobe first came in the league straight out of high school and everybody painted this picture, he's not going to make it. Once he made it, his legacy was based off of the fact that he learned all these different languages, that he was an international superstar. Like he would do camps here in Cali. He would do camps in China. He was everywhere. I've never seen footage of LeBron James doing a camp in China. LeBron is he's international with his brand, but himself and his game, he hasn't went overseas to do the same shit that Kobe did. So right now, the NBA really has to ride the fact that if the Lakers win, not LeBron, but if the Lakers win, now the Lakers have 17 championships, the Celtics have 17 championships, Bulls with 6, San Antonio with 5, and then you're right there with who? Golden State running up behind them with 4. And like you said, Golden State is up to win next year. There's no questions with that. I'd put my money on Golden State also. They could even draft LaMelo and have trade bait if they wanted to.
But without Kevin Durant, you got them out of the West with LeBron on the West.
Look,
with the Clippers on the West, the way it is,
you guys
are emerging. We don't know what's going to happen with Houston.
Golden State.
Did you see Utah? Did you see Utah? Are you just gonna hand them the West like that? I can't hand Golden State the West like that.
I'm not handing it to him. I'm not handing it to him, but I'm saying like this. Golden State, when Mark Jackson was the coach, we all believed it, that they were going to be the new San Antonio Spurs, that they will always be a competitor at the championship as long as they had their key pieces and good coaching.
So healthy Steph, a healthy Clay? Are you serious?
But look,
and a healthy Draymond. Well, what only piece that they lost? People fail to realize Golden State was knocking off teams before Kevin Durant got on there. They were winning championships before Kevin Durant.
Lob City Clippers was like the best. Lob City Clippers was like the best talent that they had. James Harden and Chris Paul was like the best. Two Chris Paul teams were the best challenge that the Golden State had in their run on the West. Chris Paul with the Clippers and Chris Paul with Houston were the only two chances that they had to beat Golden State in their whole run. So the West is full of people. It ain't just Chris Paul and James Harden. It's not about Golden State.
It's not about the Western Conference. It's about the finals. Golden State without Kevin Durant still won 2 championships against a LeBron James that was more in his prime and a Kyrie Irving as well. So I understand you got your Lob City and everything like that, but they weren't beating the Cleveland Cavaliers. Golden State has been running this, and Golden State finally got a year to rest. Steph gets the rest, Clay gets the rest, and they throw in whenever he feels like playing. Andrew Wiggins, he can be trade bait if they wanted to, and they can go get one of the top picks in the league. Where are they losing at?
Yeah, I agree. We gotta move. We gotta move on.
Thank you, Taylor. We
can't stay on here forever. The Clippers. What the fuck was that? Kawhi.
Rest in peace.
What the fuck was that? Paul George. Man, you gave us all booty cheeks.
On the last note, terrible. Paul George can never call himself Playoff George anymore.
Playoff P.
Playoff P.
Yeah,
Playoff P.
That's done.
Yeah.
And he's trying to be like Playoff Rondo. You know, and Playoff Rondo is real because Rondo's doing this shit.
Playoff Rondo's real.
Yeah, that's real.
To leave this subject, Rondo will be the reason the Lakers win. Not just because of LeBron and AD. Playoff Rondo is a real thing, and he will be the defining factor for the Lakers to win. But let's move on, Caleb.
Playoff Rondo was the reason why Boston got past Miami. Playoff Rondo is the reason why Boston got that championship. So I agree with that assessment. But let's move on. Let's move on to this deal. iHeartRadio is launching the Black Effect Podcast Network, anchored by Charlemagne the God and the Breakfast Club. It's bringing over other podcasts like Drink Champs and one of my favorite, All the Smoke, with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. I think it's 17 black podcasts that they're starting their own network over there at iHeart. So have you guys looked at this, and how do you guys feel about this?
I looked it up. You want to go first, or you want me to go?
I don't really look up anything, y'all. I just
I'll go first then. So basically, when I looked it up, I thought it was pretty cool as far as like so many different podcasts coming together. I thought it was ironic though that it was under iHeartRadio, because you know how Ryan Seacrest has wrapped up iHeartRadio, and everything when it comes to like media, not media, but like, you know, just pop stars and that type of trend. So I'm curious where it's gonna go, because I feel like that was something that they tried to jump on before anybody else did, because you know, this is like the best time for black people to do things that make them feel important and being entrepreneurs and whatnot. And podcasting gets a lot of content out and gets a lot of people recognized. So I think I don't know. I think it was a power move. You know what I mean? Like, it was probably something that they wanted to do before. And then by bringing on Charlemagne and the Breakfast Club, you know, like, I don't know if we have another show that's running as long as that is. You know what I mean? Other than thinking about Theo and 92.3 The Beat way back in the day. So it's cool, but I don't know. I don't really like Ryan Seacrest that much. I feel like he's really good at exploiting people. So I'm just curious how this all goes. You know what I mean?
My outtake on it of what I'm hearing is I think it's pretty cool. I think it's cool. Allowing us to have another platform to get our voices out, allowing us to have another platform to let us do something. I'm hoping that myself, I don't use iHeartRadio, man. So I use like Spotify, you know, if I'm going back in the day, I'm going back to Pandora. So I'm hoping that it opens the door for things like Spotify and those platforms to piggyback off of it and do like their own little spinoff, because I believe those, I don't know if those platforms are bigger than iHeartRadio, but if they are. So I'm hoping that
iHeartRadio.
So Spotify was the first one to do a solo distribution deal with a podcast, with the Joe Budden podcast. They gave him the first exclusive podcast deal. I think it was for $5 million. And now
for Joe Budden, Joe Rogan.
Joe Budden was the first exclusive deal through Spotify. Now Joe Rogan just signed with Spotify for a lifetime deal of $250 million. Right. So he has a lifetime deal to do his podcast through Spotify.
Contract.
Now, what Joe Budden was talking about is that there's that they didn't have any metrics behind the space before him and his team did his deal over at Spotify. So now what's going on is that they're signing these podcasts like the Black Network, but the shows aren't they don't share profit share in the ad revenue. So for me, building a podcast network like this, like I am with PolitiKan, the ad revenue is essential, because not only advertisements but sponsors, you know, we get that money, but there's affiliate marketing, there's a pre-roll, there's mid-roll, there's all type of different product placements in videos. There's all type of different ways where you can get ad revenue. And if you're not in the profit sharing, there's different ways where the company can make money off of you and you not get a dime off of it. They can get that liquor sponsor, and if that's not in your contract, then they paying you to distribute your podcast, but you're not sharing in the ad revenue. So they can be paying you. That's like the athletes when they weren't profit sharing in the jersey sales. You playing, you getting your salary, but you just sold 100,000 jerseys and you didn't get $1 off of it. And I think that exactly, and that's what's gonna go on with this Black Podcast Network, is that they're gonna get paid and they're gonna get a salary to do their podcast, but they're not gonna share in the ad revenue. So they're gonna be out there selling merch and all this other stuff, man, and everything that they make, the iHeart's gonna have their hand in their pocket, and everything iHeart makes on the side, they're not gonna profit share. Wow. Charlemagne gave up 50% ownership, but a lot of these podcasts
goes back to what Alvin was saying.
Let me finish right now. A lot of these podcasts were already distributed through iHeartRadio. So what they did was they just took them, said, "Hey, this is our Black Podcast Network," and repurposed them. So it's all just a marketing ploy, because all those podcasts already, besides Drink Champs, because Drink Champs is a TV show and it's mainly on Revolt, the audio is just being repurposed for the podcast platform. So I give it to Drink Champs, but all the other podcasts, they were already iHeartRadio podcasts, and they're just basically being repurposed and put into this Black Podcast, niche. But are they profit sharing? I don't believe so. And Charlemagne gave up 50% ownership of the network. So now iHeartRadio is basically going to come in and make most of the ad revenue off of this Black Pack, and they're gonna share 50% ownership of everything that this network releases. Why couldn't these? And this is like you were saying about the NBA. Why can't we just organize and start our own Black Podcast Network? I'm a living example of doing it. We're on Apple TV, we're on Spotify, we're on iHeart, we're on all the networks that and venues that they are on. So if I can do it, then why can't these multimillionaires that have a huge following, do the same thing that we're doing here with politicking? Like, we always get the bottom of the barrel and then want to be happy about it.
Honestly, I think because most of us don't really want to let people into who we are and what we're about. You know what I mean? Because especially with podcasting, it's really just being vulnerable and being transparent and just talking freely to people, right? Most of us don't want to 9 out of 10 people want to smoke while they're on the podcast. That's why with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, that podcast is so cool because it's the average dude just sitting there talking real life. But everybody else outside of that, they trying to portray a specific image, and that image they can't create because they think it has to be blue collar, white face, blonde hair, and they just can't get it to work. And so like when you said the whole Spotify thing and how Joe Budden was first, when I researched that part, as far as like his whole, the whole, we'll go into that subject. But when I looked at that, I was like, hey, that is crazy. I know I did look at Spotify's podcast just because Joe Budden said that he, we knew that Joe Budden was on that podcast. But then at the same time, it's like, but if he really didn't get no royalties for it, and there was really no benefit to do it except just to say I'm talking on Spotify, then he's right to walk away. You know what I'm saying? But then if you look at the way Charlemagne's doing it, I almost feel like that's jigabooing. Like, how do you give up 50%? You know what I'm saying? Like that's basically like, that's like you giving up 50%. Like, you did all this work to make this what it is. And then you like, you know what? I'm not really going to make anything out of this. And that's your mindset. Like, no, you're not doing it just to make the money. You're doing it to make a difference in something that's going to last longer than you. And I think with him, he showed that he really did lighten his skin because he didn't care so much about being dark skinned. He does talk the shit he talks when people go on Breakfast Club because he just wants to cause chaos, and he's really being paid out by somebody higher than us to keep lighting flames. He keeps putting fire. He keeps making fires in all the black communities, talking this shit in a sarcastic, condescending way. And then when people come in to check his ass, he's like, whoa, 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 whoa. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that's bullshit. Now, after you explain it, Caleb, I know what I said, and I guess I said it prematurely, but I think now it's kind of bullshit. Because I don't trust Ryan Seacrest. I never trusted him or Kim.
For a curator like me that's building platforms, I pay attention to the back end because that's how we all gonna get paid. I look at everything and I'm like, how is everybody gonna eat? And the back end is how we all gonna eat off of this. So if I give up 50% of the back end, then we're not gonna eat. No. I'm gonna eat, but we are not gonna eat. So as a curator of the platform, giving up 50% of the back end, kind of puts everybody else in a position where they can't really eat. And if they does, they're gonna get crumbs. So, it puts you in maybe a good position, but the people are under you. And this is why Joe Budden said that he wouldn't re-sign with Spotify, is because it would be a great deal for him, but he looks at Rory and Maul and Parks and all his team, and it wouldn't be financially beneficial to his team. So as a leader and as a CEO, why would you take something for the betterment of yourself and not your teammates? You know what I'm saying? But Charlemagne, he don't care. The Breakfast Club is a nationally syndicated radio show that already is being put out through iHeart. So, you know what I'm saying? It's not like Charlemagne has his own podcast called The Brilliant Idiots with Andrew Schultz. His podcast is not included in this deal. Why your solo podcast ain't in this deal, but Breakfast Club is in this deal? He's jigaboo, and like you said. I'll
give you 50% of the 1/3 I'm making over here anyway. because it's cut so many different times. I won't really care because I'm about to eat over here, getting a whole pie myself.
What did Pusha T say? He said he signed to a nigga that signed to another nigga that signed to another nigga.
Yeah,
that's the situation when you go to the Black Effect Podcast Network. You a nigga signed to a nigga that signed to another nigga that signed to another nigga. You know what I'm saying? And that's just for our culture. We keep saying we want to raise awareness and amplify Black voices, but then we don't want to build our own platforms. We want to do it on all the white media platforms. So what change does that really bring forward?
Out there, it's like, hey, can I pay you to put my logo on one of your advertisements, but just don't put my face on it? Like, what's the point? You are your logo. You are your own brand. So what you see is that it's just they weak, fake, and phony.
And it goes down to, and what it goes down to as well is when you're not making your own stuff, when you ain't making your own website, if you relying on all these other networks, that, like, take Instagram for example. If you put in all your eggs in Instagram, if Instagram goes away tomorrow, then what? They got your content. Where else are they going to find you at? You know,
right?
And most of our people are trying to get on and get these deals, you know, and think about their pockets, but they ain't thinking about everybody else. So it like you know, Charlamagne ain't tripping. He got a book. Y'all worried about a podcast? I'm making more money off the book. I'll give you 50%.
Charlamagne is tripping because he's over here. I believe that him and iHeartRadio is the ones behind this smear campaign for Joe Budden, because Joe Budden came out and he basically told the story on this podcast about 2 weeks ago about his dealings with Spotify and how he was getting ready to be done with his contractual obligations and that he was going to be a free agent. Right after that, Charlamagne comes out on the Breakfast Club talking about Joe Budden doesn't know how to negotiate. And next thing you know, he comes out with this announcement for his own Black network through iHeartRadio. So it's like Spotify has made 9 figures off of Joe Budden podcast. So even if Joe Budden podcast is not returning, I don't believe that somebody that made 9 figures off this podcast would be smearing this guy. What benefit would they have to smear Joe Budden? So I believe that it's iHeartRadio seeing the opportunity to attack Joe Budden because Joe Budden has attacked some of their products, you know, to kind of lower his value. So they came out with the clip of him talking about he jacks off dogs. Have you guys seen that? I
haven't watched it, but I heard about it.
So basically, he was
little kid,
playing with
like Red Rocket, that shit.
Yeah, so he was playing with Rory's dog pre-podcast and he's like, yeah, basically, some of these dog breeders, if you don't have a dog to if you don't have an animal to breed your dog with, you have to ejaculate your dog so that your dog doesn't get backed up, so that it can still give you a litter. So what he was referring to, Joe Budden, was basically alleviating the dog of its pent-up pressure and asking his co-hosts if they have ever done that. Now, it sounds crazy from outside looking in, but for people that dog breed, and I know multiple people that dog breed, they have to do this. And if you know that they'll be getting $40,000-$50,000 a litter, and you will be in there jacking off that dog too to make sure that it dropped you another litter.
It's not even jacking off the dog. Because look, one of the little girls. No, look, my play daughter that comes over, she got a little dog. They named him Duke. It's like a little Dotson or whatever. He's fixed, but he's a little horny dog, right? So he has a bear that they call his bitch, and he will randomly, at least 12 times a day, run up, grab this bear by the mouth, run right into the middle of the living room, and where everybody's sitting there watching TV chilling, he just go to town humping on this bear. Bust his little nut, roll over, laugh, pick up the bear, run him somewhere else, and then comes back and act like nothing happened. So I've caught my dog trying to hump on the damn blanket, like off the side of the couch, because he's so big now, he'll sniff on it and rub the texture, and he'll mount it and start humping the couch. So like, if you see it and like for me I want to breed my dog, I've looked into it. They're like, shit, if he do it, let him do it. At least you know this shit work. And I'm like, that's disgusting. I don't want to clean that shit up. But you know, me saying this to y'all right now, if anybody watched the podcast, they could turn around, spin it, take the clip, and make me look like a dumbass just because of how I put it out. But I feel like you just said, as far as smearing him for a specific reason, it wasn't just about Spotify. As far as the fact that he was over there and the money that they didn't want to give him, he sincerely brought the street, like, you know, because Joe Budden was still underground rap, like he did, you know, Pump It Up and all that, but you know, he was more battle rap. He battled Hollow the Don a couple years back on Smack URL. I watched that multiple times and got destroyed, dismantled. So when you think about it, he speaks to the person that's more, you know, average niggas to a certain extent. So if we all went to Spotify for just one podcast, watch the episode, say, hey, it ain't no big deal, and then pay the money for the subscription because it's his podcast plus all the other music that we want to listen to anyway. They're just trying to put dirt on his name, so we follow Charlemagne. In their mind, it's like, okay, which one will they follow? I think the Breakfast Club has a bigger following, so let's go ahead and make fun of this one, hoping they all follow these ones, and then we get all their money. We get their subscriptions to iHeartRadio instead of them being subscribed to Spotify. Joe Budden won't get his money that we should have gave him instead of a couple watches, and then iHeartRadio, they eat on the back end.
So yeah, I got a question for you. So not only did the dog accusations come out, but Tahiri Jose, his ex fiance, I believe so, or ex girlfriend, she came out on Jason Lee's podcast, Hollywood Unlocked, which is an iHeartRadio podcast, by the way, a coincidence again. And she comes out. She was recently on Marriage Boot Camp, and in Marriage Boot Camp, Votto, you know, I guess, had a domestic violence dispute with her live on the show. So when she's being interviewed by Jason Lee about the Votto scenario, she basically brushes over that and goes straight into the Joe Budden abuse stories, which was 10 plus years ago and was already documented in the public. And you're there to talk about Votto. How did you spin it and make the whole thing about Joe Budden? You know, that's just intentional. So how do you feel about Joe Budden and these domestic dispute issues that he's been constantly brought up in? And how do you feel about the whole smear campaign to Joe Budden?
I feel that it sounds like they know Joe Budden is a threat because of what he has done. I think you said something like 9 million, and it's Joe Budden. He's under Swisher House or whatever, in a slaughterhouse, and he doing it as independent and everything like that. He ain't going off of no major label or anything of that nature, and he's doing the numbers that he's doing. I think that they're afraid of the competition. So how do you get rid of the competition? You smear their name. And the thing about smearing his name, though, you know, at the end of the day, hey, you did it to yourself. You know, you put your hands on her, you're going to live with that for the rest of your life. It's like me. If I get famous or whatever the case may be, I'm always going to be looked to the public as, hey, man, you cheated on your wife. Hey, I did that. That was a seed that I planted. But you got to just keep pushing off of it. I feel that it's a sly way of, I think it's pretty sleazy that you got to go down that road to try to take somebody out of the game instead of competing and going, okay, hey, it's what's his name? Charlamagne the God versus Joe Budden. You know,
and that's that crab in the bucket mentality that black people always fall victim to. Why can't Joe Budden be successful and Charlamagne be successful? Why can't we both be in the? We're technically, because we're podcasting, doesn't make us the same thing. Like what Joe Budden and his platform is doing is not what Charlamagne and his platform is doing. So why can't we both exist in our same lanes? And white people love to pin us against each other and put us in these scenarios where, hey, it's only one room for one nigga at the top, Charlamagne. So if you want the top podcaster spot, you got to get Joe Budden out of here for us. You know what I'm saying? As far as niggas, we so quick to do it, you know what I'm saying, without even really thinking or considering what we're doing. You had Joe Budden on your show multiple times. It seemed like you guys had good energy and camaraderie. But the moment you get a chance to usurp him and be the head nigga in charge, now you want to smear him and talk shit about him. And that's why I don't respect Charlamagne. But at the same time, he's a radio personality. He's not a journalist. So I don't because I'm a journalist, I know about the code of ethics. So when people step out of the code of ethics, it's just a terrible sight for me. It's like it's a stain on the game. But a lot of these people aren't journalists. They're radio personalities. They're just people. You know what I'm saying? So we can't really hold them to the same standard that a journalist would be held to. So a lot of people look at Charlamagne as a journalist, but he's not a journalist. He's just a personality.
If you gotta bring somebody else down to allow yourself to come up, you know what? In the words of Charlamagne the God, hey, listen, you the donkey of the day.
Boy, you know what's funny though about Charlamagne? As much as this sounds kind of weird, I don't even think they came at him like they sat at the table like this. I was like, hey, yo, so, we're going to put you on. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We just need Joe Budden out the way. I think they were sitting at the table and he just kind of volunteered. Like, hey, yo, can I just, I can do this for you if you need it done. Because like you said, if they're not even in the same lane as far as what the content is that they're trying to provide, it's almost like a Django. Like he's Samuel L. Jackson and Django. Like he feels like he is knocking on white privilege's door long enough that he actually has some. So he can just do certain things that kind of look like, it looks like on his end, he probably doesn't think nothing of it. Everybody else is like, how can you even think of it once?
I think that the name of his book was Black Privilege. I'm not sure. I never read anything that he's published, but I think that that's the name of Charlamagne's book, Black Privilege. So when you say that, it makes me want to go back and tap into that read and see what he's even talking about before I judge him. So I'm definitely going to tap into his literature and try to tap into his mentality to see if he jigaboo or not, man. Because if he a jigaboo, then we got to call a spade, man. But let's get on to these cop shootings. So in Compton, this was what, 3 days ago? 4 days ago now.
Yeah.
2 police officers were just sitting in their patrol vehicle when it looked like a 5'6".
You're muted, Kayla. You muted yourself.
Yeah, but a smaller black male, according to the police, just walked up and opened fire on the police officers while sitting in their vehicle. Do you think that it was a black male? First of all, that this is a hoax? The officers did not die. Both of them are both alive.
Right.
They didn't say that the wounds were critical, so I don't believe that their life is in danger.
They both have.
This is all just a hoax to try to gain control of the public's mentality.
I believe after watching the video that was released on WorldStar and released on Instagram, it looked more or less like 5'5", 5'6" Hispanic male really thin. I would say probably like 135, 140, because he had no weight on him underneath the hoodie and the pants when he ran off. And the way the shots looked, it didn't even look like they were fatal shots. It looked like he shot like level of the car where it probably hit them in the torso, where they probably had their vests on. It probably just startled them or whatever, because they're new on the force, because they said they just got sworn in last year. They talked highly about the woman being a mother and how her son or the child is so distraught, and how, you know, it's not fair that she got hit while on duty, and, you know, they didn't do anything to deserve it. And then there was also another deputy or something that asked that the $100,000 that was put up for information on the shooter, that LeBron James matches it, because he's such an activist about police brutality and all that. So I felt that it goes hand in hand with how hard they made that stand, and it was like out of nowhere to stop sports, and we need someone to do something about this, and need someone to do something about that. That they try to do that to try to make it seem like they were able to do more to help find the culprits to these murders or whatever, or these attempted murders, when in reality it was just to try to like continue to cover up Breonna Taylor's shooters. Because, you know, truth be told, they know everything, and that's not done. So it's like the more we can kind of like spin shit to happen in LA. We have the most cases of COVID. Now we have some crazy shit happening in Compton. Then the Lakers might win the title. All this direction, all this attention nationally into us, it's a ploy. It's not real. It's not real, because I know me, and I'm not someone that's going to do something malicious like that. But if someone put my kids and my family's life in danger, said basically, you want to do this shit, or you dead or they dead, they're dead. There's not going to be a story about how cops got shot and they're recovering. You that close with the window down, you could do 2 headshots. At least that you're 4 or 5 feet away. So to me, that was all propaganda. That was all bullshit. Hoodie on in the middle of the day, no mask, obviously, as you could see on camera. Like, dude, it's a spin. They're trying to spin this to make everything worse than what it is. Because elections are coming in less than 2 months. That's
What's your take? You get it? What's your take?
Man, this is my take on it. My take on it is, who gives a damn if it's a spin or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, yes, she is a mom. Yes, she got shot. Yeah, whether it was a head shot, body shot, somebody walked up to a police vehicle and shot them. So at the end of the day, what is making that person, whether they're black, Hispanic, white, whatever the case may be, what is making us as people different than police brutality? What is the difference? You going up and you shooting a cop? Like, what people what people are failing to realize, and I think where I'm about to start getting pissed off at it at is, I get it, police brutality, but I got friends on the force. I got friends that go and protect and serve. So
right.
While you hating on cops because certain cops are killing people, and my friend that I personally know, that I did EMT with, that we were saving lives together, and he got on the force to help out more lives, you going up to his police car, shooting him because he has to put on a uniform, just like I had to put on a uniform, and he chose the job that he chose, and you going off of what's on TV, which the media ain't giving you all of the facts anyway.
Right.
And you going to go, and it's edited, and you going, oh, and they're going to spin it 5-6 times. Why? Because it goes back to like the whole Charlemagne thing. What? It's giving me ratings.
Yeah.
It's giving me ratings. Let me keep talking about black people. Why? Because y'all, it's giving me ratings. And you go shoot another human being. At the end of the day, I don't care what uniform they are. I don't care if they're not even wearing a uniform. You choking them out. You killing them. We doing this whole little eye for an eye kind of thing. And I had to text my people that I know personally and go, hey, bro, stay safe. And man, I'm trying. I know a cop on the force that been on the force for about like 25 years. I hit them up. As a matter of fact, I talked to him today. I'm like, man, how you doing? And he's like, man, all I'm trying to do is just retire now. I'm just trying to retire now. Because the difference between me wearing my uniform now and me wearing it about 15, 20 years ago, I used to wear this uniform with pride, going out trying to protect and serve. But now when I go out, y'all think I'm the enemy. When I'm the one being called to y'all neighborhood, trying to get the bad guys in your neighborhood. But y'all think I'm the enemy.
To rebuttal to that, though, I think that George Floyd pointed out a big thing with the police force. It wasn't about the officer that had his knee on George Floyd's neck. It was also more enraging of the two officers that sat there and watched as he did this to George Floyd and did nothing. So I think that the cops, the good cops that sit around and let the one bad apple do whatever he's gonna do is worse than the one cop that's doing the bad shit. You know what I'm saying? You had two officers sit there and allow one officer to kill a black man. These two officers are worse than the one, because if you really had the people at heart, you wouldn't allow your one officer to override both of y'all and kill this black man and choke him to death with his kneecap. And that's why they're worse. They're more of the problem. If the police the police, then we wouldn't be talking about any of this.
Is that really true though? Because code in the street is snitches get stitches, right? So a lot of people, I'm not saying us or anything like that, their friend can go steal, let's just say a candy bar. Their friend could go steal a candy bar, right? Go steal a candy bar from the store. They stop you and be like, hey, was it your friend that stole the candy bar? What are you gonna do? Are you gonna say, yeah, that was my friend that stole the candy bar? Or are you gonna be like, oh, I don't know? So
what I'm saying is, when we walk in the store,
snitch out your friend?
When my boy grabbed the candy bar, it's my job to say, hey, nigga, put that motherfucking candy bar down, bro. I seen that.
Okay.
We're not gonna do this. I'm not finna let you walk out the store with this candy bar. Put the candy bar back. And that's what I'm saying these cops need to do. Don't walk out with the candy bar with him and then say, hey, bro, why did you do that? No, don't allow him to walk out the store with that candy bar.
But that doesn't mean just because certain cops do certain things a certain way, that doesn't mean that somebody that didn't do nothing should get shot in the face. And then spin off this, oh, it's a hoax.
I agree with that. That doesn't condemn you. That doesn't condemn you.
What are you guys talking about? You guys are talking about it's a hoax. The girl and the dude is in the hospital. Like they were in the hospital, whether it wasn't fatal or not. They got shot in the face. Let somebody come up to you and your family and shoot you in your face. Are you gonna be like, oh man, it wasn't fatal, so it's whatever?
No. You're not getting where I was coming from with it, because I know you have people within the law enforcement. We went to school with the Thomases. Carl, he just retired from AV, actually Lancaster Sheriff's Department. It's not that I'm saying that like I personally would have walked up to the car and shot him in the face. I'm just saying we're talking like in all honesty, right? All honesty. If in fact this was a malicious attack at the cops, it was poorly done. Because when they make their attempt on making their stand or doing whatever they're going to do, the point is made every single time. 10 out of 10 times you see anything on social media, you see anything in the news about police brutality, blah, 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 blah. It wasn't just, a couple scratches, blah, blah, blah. It's the same old song and dance every time you see it, right? My part with this was that how in the hell is it now all of a sudden? It's never happened. Up until this point with the protesting, you might have had a few people in the cops' face pointing like this. You might have had a few people just, get so close that they get sprayed by the bean bags or the hoses and shit like that. But to actually walk up to a car, one where most cops are never in a car with their windows down, where they showed them located, it wasn't even in a position where they could see their surrounding. And then the person they just casually walked up. They couldn't see them coming in either of the two rearview mirrors or the back regular mirror. You know, they have cameras on the car so they can see their surroundings. To me, it looked like a hoax. And the reason why I said it's a hoax, and yes, they got shot, but no, it wasn't as bad as it could have been or should have been. And I don't mean should like they should have been hurt or killed. It's just, if we're playing a video game and the objective is to shoot and kill the police and you shoot them in their vests, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. So I don't think that this was what no, I know, but I just don't think this was the intention. I think it was, okay, let's put this person in a position. Let's get this guy who got 3 strikes. He's already a user. We already have him as an informant, and we're going to make him do what we want because he's our little lapdog anyway. You go up to the window. We're going to have you shoot blanks. No disrespect, y'all, but we're going to have you use a regular looking gun, shoot blanks so you can see the fire come out. Pop, pop. When those cops got taken to the ambulance, or they got picked up by the ambulance and took to the hospital, was there pictures of their wounds? Was there footage of them being picked up by the ambulance and taken all the way to the ambulance? I didn't see any of these things. So I'm just going off of the one clip of Instagram. It looked like to me one hell of an acting job. That now this is going to cause more chaos in every positive protest, because now there's going to be heightened fear, not on our side, but on the law enforcement side.
They're shutting down the protests after this. So now they're not even allowing you to gather.
Protesting.
They're shutting down the protests before the protests even start now. So now they have justification to not let you protest. So as far as Southern California, I don't believe that there will be any peaceful protests probably until after the election now.
Oh, can I say one more thing? Hey, yeah, can I say one more thing, which is funny? This could have caused something bigger than the LA riots, right? Because George Floyd was in Minnesota, and look at what all is done. Yes or no? George Floyd was in Minnesota. Steven Jackson being who he is, it also fueled all the extra chaos and all the extra Black Lives Matter shit. If this would have been a death on them, this would have been the LA riots all over again. Because as soon as there would have been one peaceful protest and somebody would have got hit with a nightstick, like, pow, get the fuck back, everybody would have been like, whoa, what is all this? Chaos. I'm just saying.
Did you see that they arrested a black man? They got Clifford. It skips my mind right now. I usually got notes, but I didn't write it down. But they're wrongfully accusing a black man. His stature doesn't even fit the stature of the man on the video. So of course they're gonna try to. I think it was about 2-3 hours after the shooting. They already said, "Hey, it's this guy. It's at large." They already basically had pictures of him and his vehicle out there, as if they already had the scapegoat lined up, and they already knew who they were gonna basically blame for this. So we have a black man wrongfully accused in custody right now.
Nobody's that stupid to walk up to a cop car and shoot police officers at point blank range,
and not kill them.
So
you can't. That's not true.
And not kill them.
Because
they did it.
To walk into schools and shoot up schools.
No, but
people are stupid enough to go shoot up schools. Why won't they be stupid enough to go shoot up a police car?
So with that statement, the people who shot up schools were who? Children, like that 17-year-old boy who walked around with the AK. Adults, once you hit 25, your cognitive development is already mastered. There's no way you can do anything without letting go from the back to the front. So that person, if it was a kid looking at the size, there's another youth who's being led in the wrong direction to do some dumbass shit because nobody's focusing on them. But when you really
wasn't a kid,
huh?
The Vegas shooter wasn't a kid.
Oh, no, that wasn't a kid neither. But you know what? That shooter, still to this day, is being looked at as being a part of conspiracy because the shots that were taken did not – the trajectory of the shots didn't match who got hit.
And the modifications of the room, he wasn't physically able to even lift or do any of the modifications to shoot from the platform that he was shooting from. So that's a whole conspiracy within itself. I don't even know if you want to open up the floodgates.
No, because to me, look,
into this, man, we gotta wrap it up. So let's get y'all closing remarks before we get out of here. And
okay.
Shout outs.
Take off this Denver madness because they already beat the Clippers. They ain't about to beat the Lakers. But I'm gonna go ahead first. Caleb, Yajaketit, I appreciate y'all yet again to allowing me to get my voice out and using the politician broadcast as a platform that that I can say what I feel. It's always focused on the future. The kids are always the most important thing, and just stay ready so you don't have to get ready because life is about being ready.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Brand of Encouragement. Shout out to Focus on the Future, the PolitiKan Podcast. Man, shout out to those who are sticking up for injustice. Shout out to the cops that are doing the right thing. And like how you said, man, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to the Denver Nuggets taking this next round. I see you, baby.
Oh,
Kawhi, what the fuck was that? PG, please close your booty cheeks because your booty cheeks is bust wide open. What the hell was that? Doc Rivers, I'm calling for your job. Clippers, get rid of this guy. Mark Jackson's out there. It's time for Mark Jackson to make his return to the LA Clippers and get the championship that he deserves. So I'm calling for Doc Rivers out of here. Let's get Mark Jackson. Let's get an offensive coach in here, man. Let's get LA back on track. Maybe next year we can get LA versus LA, man. But it's out on all major platforms. PolitiKan Broadcasting, political expressions, man. Cop the merch. Hit the link in the bio. Dank Sinatra Instagram, man. PolitiKan Broadcasting Instagram. Download the PolitiKan Roku channel. We'll be on Apple TV within the next couple of weeks. And we got another announcement. We just moved into the Riverside Studios in downtown Riverside, 50,000 square foot building.
Nice.
So PolitiKan has a new home, and we'll be building a radio station out of that hub. So PolitiKan Radio on the way. PolitiKan the Podcast, man. We out of here. I don't know what y'all gonna do, but I'm gonna get to it.